Welcome back to our channel World of Coins, the place where we uncover hidden treasures in your coin collection. Have you ever wondered if that old coins could be worth thousands or even millions? Well, today's your lucky day. We're diving into some of the rarest and most valuable US coins that might be sitting right under your nose. Let's jump in and see if you've got a fortune waiting to be discovered. Top 1. Have you ever walked past a penny on the ground and decided it wasn't worth picking up? What if I told you that one little copper coin, just a single United States penny, could be worth more than a brand new luxury car or even a small house? Yes, you heard that right. Today, we're diving deep into the story of one of America's most fascinating and surprisingly valuable coins, the 1960 Lincoln 1-cent penny. And trust me, by the end of this video you'll never look at a penny the same way again. The Lincoln cent has been around for over a century, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and over the decades, it became a symbol of everyday American currency. But among the millions of pennies minted each year, certain coins, like the one from 1960, hold secrets that collectors go wild for. Now, let's talk about the year 1960 specifically. This was a time of transformation and innovation in the United States. The country was entering a new era with the election of John F. Kennedy, and the world was watching America evolve. During this same year, at the U.S. Mint, something unusual happened, something that would turn an ordinary penny into a highly sought-after treasure. In 1960, the Mint produced two major versions of the Lincoln penny, the small date and the large date. At a glance, these variations might seem identical to most people. But to collectors and experts, the subtle differences in the size and positioning of the date on the coin are everything. It's these tiny details that can elevate a penny from spare change to a prized possession. The small date variety, particularly from the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, is the version that has driven collectors into a frenzy over the years. But what makes it so rare? The answer lies in a combination of low survival rates, limited mintage, and the coin's condition. While millions were minted, only a handful have been preserved in pristine condition, those that remain uncirculated, untouched, and with their luster still intact. But the real magic happens when one of these coins surfaces in an exceptionally high grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect specimen. A 1960 small date penny in nearly flawless condition, graded MS 67 or higher, is incredibly rare. And when rarity meets demand, prices can skyrocket. Let's not forget the role of errors, too. Some of the 1960 Lincoln cents exhibit double die features, where elements like the date or the lettering appear to have a shadowed or duplicated look. These errors are not flaws, they're treasures. For collectors, a double die can turn a coin into a jackpot, adding thousands of dollars to its value. Now, here's where things get even more exciting. There are stories, verified by auction records, of collectors and investors battling it out for the highest quality examples of these coins. These aren't casual purchases, they're investments. The passion behind these bids reflects a deep appreciation for history, rarity, and the thrill of owning something truly unique. So the next time you come across a penny, especially one from 1960, take a closer look. Examine the date. Check for that elusive small date. Look at the condition. It might just be the penny that changes your life. Because believe it or not, one of these rare 1960 Lincoln 1-cent coins has been sold for a jaw-dropping amount. Are you ready for this? Hold on to your seats, because the highest known value for this humble penny has reached an incredible $135,000. Yes, 1 cent that someone might have once used to buy a gumball could now be worth more than an entire college education. So next time you see a penny lying on the ground, don't walk by. That little copper coin might just be your golden ticket. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into rare coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, because you never know what treasure we'll uncover next. Top 2. Every day, millions of people handle pennies without a second thought. They get tossed into jars, dropped between couch cushions, or even left behind at the store counter. But what if I told you that one ordinary-looking penny from 1967 could actually be hiding a secret? A secret that could make it worth more than most luxury cars and even more than some people's yearly salaries. This is not just another coin story, this is the fascinating tale of the 1967 Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. And if you stick around until the end, you'll discover just how much one of these rare coins has been worth. The Lincoln cent has long been a symbol of American history. Designed by Victor David Brenner and introduced in 1909, the penny was originally created to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. Over the decades, it became one of the most iconic and widely circulated coins in American currency. But in the vast ocean of billions of these coins, there are a few rare treasures, and the 1967 penny is one of them. To understand why the 1967 Lincoln penny is so special, we have to rewind a bit in U.S. history. The mid-1960s were a chaotic time for American coinage. The mint had just undergone a major shift due to the Coinage Act of 1965, which removed silver from most U.S. coins. To keep up with production demands and reduce the hoarding of coins, the U.S. Mint suspended the use of mint marks from 1965 to 1967. That means the 1967 penny was struck without a mint mark, regardless of whether it came from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. This change makes it harder to trace each coin's origin, and even more intriguing for collectors. Now, you might be wondering, if millions of these coins were made, what makes any single 1967 penny valuable? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and sometimes, mistakes. That's right, errors. Minting errors are one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting. A doubled die, a misaligned strike, a planchet error, these seemingly small imperfections can transform a basic penny into a highly valuable collectible. For the 1967 penny, certain known examples exist with striking anomalies. Some show doubling in the lettering or numbers, while others have off-center strikes that make the coin look misaligned or oddly shaped. These aren't damage, they're rare factory flaws. For collectors, these rare errors aren't problems. They're jackpots. But even without errors, the 1967 Lincoln cent can fetch impressive sums, if it's in mint state condition. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and those that grade MS 67 or higher are incredibly hard to find. After all, most pennies from that era were circulated endlessly, worn down through decades of use. To find one with its full luster, no scratches, and crisp details is like discovering a time capsule. Auction houses and collectors pay close attention to high-grade specimens. The more flawless the coin, the more desirable it becomes. The sharpness of Lincoln's features, the clean strike of the lettering, the absence of blemishes, these are what make a coin stand out. And when a 1967 penny meets those standards, it becomes something much greater than just a coin. It becomes a treasure. There have been cases where these coins, when submitted to top grading agencies and returned with exceptional grades, have sold for staggering amounts at auctions. The collector market is passionate, driven, and willing to pay top dollar for the rarest and best preserved examples. And in the case of the 1967 penny, one particular example has made headlines, not just for its condition, but for its incredible value. So, the next time you spot a penny, especially one from 1967, don't just walk by. Take a closer look. Hold it up to the light. Study the date, the design, and the overall condition. Because you might just be holding a hidden gem that the world has overlooked for years, and now, for the moment you've been waiting for. A single Lincoln 1-cent penny from 1967, preserved in extraordinary condition, was once sold for a stunning $125,000. Yes, that's one small coin that could change your life. Imagine finding something like that in your pocket, your change jar, or even inside an old coin collection passed down through the family. That's the magic of coin collecting. You never know what hidden stories, or hidden fortunes, you might uncover. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story about the amazing world of rare and valuable coins. You might just discover that the next great treasure is sitting right in your palm. Top 3. Think about the last time you held a penny. Did you even glance at the date before dropping it into your pocket or passing it off as change? For most of us, the penny is the coin we value the least. It's often tossed aside, lost in the couch cushions, or dropped into a jar that gathers dust for years. But what if I told you that one single penny from 1974 could be worth more than your car? More than your student loans? Maybe even more than your entire annual income? Today, we're diving into the incredible story of the 1974 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that looks ordinary but hides an extraordinary secret. The Lincoln cent is one of the longest-running coin series in American history. First minted in 1909, it was created to honor President Abraham Lincoln on the 100th anniversary of his birth. Over the years, it's become a staple of American change, with billions produced and circulated across the country. But once in a while, among the countless coins made, something unusual slips through, a rare version, a strange error, or a coin struck in a way that was never intended. And that's where the 1974 penny becomes a star. Let's rewind to the early 1970s. The U.S. Mint was facing a growing problem. The price of copper was rising rapidly, and making pennies from 95% copper and 5% zinc was becoming too expensive. So in 1974, the Mint began experimenting with new materials for the penny. The goal was to find a cheaper alternative that would still look and feel like the traditional coin but wouldn't cost more to produce than its actual value. As part of these tests, the Mint created a limited number of experimental pennies made from aluminum. These were never released to the public and were intended only for testing purposes and for review by members of Congress. But here's where the story takes a twist. Some of those experimental aluminum pennies disappeared. A few somehow escaped the Mint, and over time, they began surfacing in private collections and among coin dealers. Now, most 1974 pennies were still made from copper-coated zinc, and millions upon millions were struck that way. But it's the extremely rare experimental pieces, and certain error coins from that year, that have attracted enormous attention from collectors. There are stories of 1974 pennies with unusual compositions, striking errors, or remarkably high-grade conditions being discovered in the wild. Some show doubling in the lettering, others have off-metal strikes, and a few are simply in such pristine condition that they look like they were minted yesterday. These kinds of coins are what collectors dream of, hidden gems among everyday change. Even without a rare metal composition, a 1974 penny in mint state condition, graded MS 67 or higher, is a standout piece. Think about it, this coin was made over 50 years ago, and yet there are a few out there that have survived in almost perfect condition. No scratches, no wear, full original shine, and all the details of Lincoln's portrait and the lettering perfectly sharp. That's incredibly rare, and the coin collecting world takes notice. Auction houses, private collectors, and investors are constantly on the hunt for these rare examples. When a coin like this shows up, it's not just about owning a piece of currency, it's about owning a piece of American history, a coin that defied the odds and emerged decades later as a valuable relic. These coins, especially the few known to be in top-tier condition or with rare traits, have been known to spark bidding wars. Because in the world of numismatics, rarity and quality are king. And when a coin has both, the value can be truly jaw-dropping. So the next time you see a penny, especially one from 1974, pause for a moment. Turn it over. Look closely at the condition, the details, and the way the light hits it. You might be holding something far more valuable than it appears. It's not just change, it could be a hidden fortune. And now, for the part that makes this story even more unbelievable. A single Lincoln 1-cent penny from the year 1974, in extraordinary condition and highly sought after by collectors, has been sold for the staggering sum of $105,000. Yes, that's right. One coin. One penny. Worth more than many people make in an entire year. So next time you're tempted to overlook a coin in your pocket or on the ground, think again. You never know when that tiny copper disc could turn into the discovery of a lifetime. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap that notification bell. Because the next great treasure might be sitting in your spare change right now, and we're here to help you find it. Top 4. Have you ever glanced at a penny, seen the date, and wondered if it might be special? Most of us don't give a second thought to pennies. They're usually ignored, dropped into jars, or lost in the cracks of a car seat. But what if I told you that one small coin, a United States Lincoln 1-cent penny from the year 1975, could be hiding in plain sight with a value so massive it could actually change your life? This isn't just a story about copper. It's a story about history, rarity, mystery, and the thrill of discovering something valuable in the most unexpected places. The Lincoln penny is more than just pocket change, it's a piece of American legacy. Since its first minting in 1909, it has featured the profile of President Abraham Lincoln, becoming one of the most widely circulated and recognized coins in U.S. history. But not all pennies are created equal. Some are made during transitional periods, with errors or rare features that escape unnoticed by millions, only to become treasures for the few who know what to look for. That's where the 1975 Lincoln penny enters the scene. At first glance, a 1975 penny looks completely ordinary. It features Lincoln's right-facing bust, the words "I and God We Trust" arching over his head, and Liberty and the year stamped clearly to the side. Flip it over, and you see the Lincoln Memorial, a design used from 1959 to 2008. It's the kind of coin most people wouldn't look at twice. But here's where the story starts to get interesting. In 1975, the U.S. Mint was producing pennies primarily using a copper alloy, 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition had been standard for decades, but the rising cost of copper was already pushing the mint to start rethinking the future of coinage. Just a few years later, in 1982, the penny would shift to a cheaper copper-plated zinc version. That puts the 1975 penny in a fascinating window, close enough to the transition to spark collector interest, yet old enough to develop value due to age, errors, and exceptional condition. Now, here's the part that collectors live for. While millions of 1975 pennies were struck, very few remain in perfect condition. Most of these coins were heavily circulated, scraped through vending machines, tossed in pockets, dropped on sidewalks. But a tiny handful were preserved, never touched, never used, set aside in mint rolls, proof sets, or collector albums. When one of these coins surfaces today, in uncirculated, near-perfect grade, it catches the eyes of serious collectors. Even more intriguing, there are rare varieties and errors linked to 1975 pennies. Some have doubling in the date or the lettering, what experts call double die errors. Others show striking issues like off-center minting or die cracks. These flaws, caused during the minting process, are extremely rare and can multiply a coin's value many times over. In the coin collecting world, errors are not mistakes, they're treasures. Grading is another major factor that drives a penny's value. The official coin grading scale runs from 1 to 70. A 1975 penny graded at MS 67 or higher, mint state, with nearly flawless surfaces, is incredibly difficult to come by. And when such a coin goes up for auction, the results can be staggering. Collectors are constantly competing for coins that are rare both in condition and origin. That's where prestige and bragging rights come into play. Owning a top-grade 1975 penny means owning something almost no one else has. It's a piece of American history, preserved in time and beauty, and it carries a powerful appeal to both casual hobbyists and seasoned investors. So if you ever come across a penny from 1975, take a second look. Hold it to the light. Examine the edges. Look for unusual markings. If it's clean, bright, well preserved, or shows any kind of mint error, you may want to have it professionally graded. That small coin could be holding a big surprise, because there is a known case, verified and confirmed, of a 1975 Lincoln 1-cent penny, struck perfectly, preserved in exceptional condition, and highly sought after by collectors, that was sold for the astonishing amount of $101,000. Yes. A single copper penny. Worth more than a luxury car, more than most down payments, more than what many people earn in a full year. It's the kind of find that turns casual collectors into passionate treasure hunters. So don't overlook the humble penny. Especially not one stamped with the year 1975. Because sometimes, the most ordinary looking things hold the most extraordinary value. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable coins that might be hiding in your change jar, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. You never know, the next coin we talk about might be the one sitting right in your pocket. Top 5. It's easy to overlook a penny. It's the smallest coin in your wallet, the one we often leave behind on countertops or drop into tip jars without thinking twice. But sometimes, the most unassuming things carry the biggest surprises. That's exactly the case with one very specific coin, a United States Lincoln 1-cent penny from the year 1977. On the surface, it might look like every other penny you've seen 1,000 times before. But today, we're pulling back the curtain on what makes this little copper coin a hidden gem, and why collectors around the world have their eyes on it. Since its first release in 1909, the Lincoln penny has held a unique place in American history. It was the first coin to feature a real historical figure, President Abraham Lincoln, and it quickly became one of the most circulated coins in the nation's history. By the time 1977 rolled around, the penny had already seen decades of change, both in design and in composition. But the version struck in 1977 had something special, something that makes a handful of these coins worth a small fortune today. Let's set the scene. In 1977, the United States was navigating a post-Watergate world, pop culture was booming, and disco ruled the airwaves. Meanwhile, at the U.S. Mint, billions of pennies were being produced. Most of these coins were made from 95% copper and 5% zinc, consistent with the standard used since 1962. These pennies were produced at multiple mint locations, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Yet, among the billions made, only a tiny fraction would ever stand out. And it's those few, rare pieces that have collectors chasing the thrill of the find. So what exactly makes the 1977 penny valuable? Like many coins, its worth comes down to a perfect storm of factors: rarity, condition, errors, and historical interest. First, let's talk about condition. Most pennies from 1977 have seen heavy use. They've been jingling in pockets, passed through cash registers, and clanked in jars for nearly 50 years. To find one in pristine, untouched condition, what collectors call mint state, is rare. And if it's graded MS 67 or higher, you've got something truly exceptional on your hands. Grading agencies, like PCGS or NGC, use a 70-point scale to determine a coin's quality. A 1977 penny graded at the very top of that scale, nearly flawless in detail, shine, and preservation, is the kind of coin that turns heads at auctions. These top-tier examples are the crown jewels of coin collections. They're not just old coins, they're museum-quality artifacts. Then, there are the error coins. In the world of numismatics, errors are not mistakes, they're opportunities. Certain 1977 pennies were struck with noticeable doubling in the date or lettering. These are called double die errors, and they're incredibly sought after. Others have off-center strikes, die breaks, or planchet flaws. These unique variations weren't meant to happen, but their existence has created a buzz that's only grown over time. Another factor that increases a coin's value is demand, and let's be clear, the demand for rare Lincoln cents is strong. Collectors love the Lincoln series. It's familiar, rich with history, and full of intriguing variations. A rare 1977 penny with top-notch condition or a dramatic error checks every box. It's not just a coin, it's a story, a piece of time, a mystery waiting to be discovered, and that leads us to the real magic of collecting. Imagine this: you're sifting through your spare change, and suddenly, you spot a 1977 penny that looks different. The color is richer. The surface gleams. The details are razor sharp. You take a closer look, maybe even send it to a grading service. Weeks later, the results come back, and what you're holding isn't just pocket change. It's a treasure, because here's the moment you've been waiting for. A single 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny, preserved in extraordinary condition and graded among the finest known examples, has been sold for a staggering amount, $91,000. That's right. 1 penny. 1 cent worth more than luxury vacations, more than brand new cars, more than what many people save in a year. It's the kind of discovery that turns everyday people into believers in the value of the smallest things. So the next time you see a penny, especially one from 1977, don't just walk past it. Pick it up. Look closely. Because sometimes, the rarest treasures come in the simplest forms. And who knows? The next 1-cent coin you find might just be worth a whole lot more than you think. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable coins that might be hiding in your own home, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss the next big discovery. Because when it comes to coins, even the smallest detail can hold the biggest surprise. Top 6. When you think of treasure, your mind probably goes to gold bars, sparkling diamonds, or old pirate maps marked with an X. But what if I told you that one of the rarest treasures in America could be hiding in your own pocket, or sitting quietly at the bottom of a jar full of coins? Believe it or not, one of the most overlooked pieces of modern American currency, the Lincoln 1-cent penny from the year 1981, has a secret. A secret so surprising that it's turned heads in the coin collecting world and shocked even the most seasoned numismatists. At first glance, the 1981 penny looks like every other cent that's been floating through the hands of Americans for generations. It's small, coppery, and features the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln. Flip it over, and you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, standing tall and proud, just like it has on pennies since 1959. But don't let this simple design fool you. There's more to this coin than meets the eye. Let's rewind to the early 1980s. The United States was going through significant change. The economy was shifting, inflation was a concern, and the cost of producing coins was under scrutiny. In fact, 1981 marked the final full year that the U.S. Mint struck pennies using the traditional composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. The very next year, in 1982, the mint would begin transitioning to a cheaper copper-plated zinc alloy to cut production costs. That puts the 1981 penny in a very unique and fascinating position. It was the last of a dying breed, but that's only part of the story. You see, 1981 wasn't just a year of transition in terms of metal composition. It was also a year when the U.S. Mint produced two distinct versions of the Lincoln cent, one with a Type 1 mint mark, and another with a Type 2 mint mark. These variations, while small and often unnoticed by the general public, are a big deal to collectors. The difference lies in the clarity and shape of the mint mark, and for sharp-eyed numismatists, these differences can mean the coin is far more valuable than its 1-cent face value. But perhaps the most exciting aspect of the 1981 penny is what happens when you combine all the key factors: rarity, condition, composition, and error. That's right. Like many legendary coins, some 1981 pennies have been found with dramatic minting errors. These could include double dies, where the coin appears to have a shadowed or doubled image, or off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned and creates a truly unique visual effect. These kinds of errors are not only rare, they're highly collectible. Condition is another huge part of what makes a 1981 penny stand out. Most pennies from that era have been handled thousands of times. They've seen cash registers, vending machines, and have rattled around in pockets and purses for decades. But the few that have been preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially those graded as MS 67 or higher, are a different story entirely. These coins shine with original luster, have razor-sharp detail, and are virtually flawless. They're museum-quality pieces that offer a glimpse into the exact moment they were struck. Collectors go wild for coins like this. Why? Because they're so hard to find. The combination of historical significance, error potential, and near-perfect condition makes a coin like this not just rare, but legendary. And when one surfaces, collectors and investors don't hesitate, they bid. They compete. And the prices can soar to jaw-dropping heights. Now here's where it all comes together. A 1981 Lincoln penny, in exceptional condition, showing off its copper glory, preserved better than any other known example, and possessing all the traits that make collectors stop in their tracks. That kind of coin doesn't just go into a coin jar. It goes into a vault. It goes up for auction. It becomes part of numismatic history, and in one remarkable case, that very type of coin, a 1981 Lincoln 1-cent penny, was sold for a life-changing sum of $77,000, yes, that's right. One small cent, something we so often treat as meaningless, turned out to be worth more than most people make in an entire year. It's a stunning reminder that value isn't always about size or shine, sometimes, it's about rarity, timing, and the story behind it. So the next time you see a penny lying on the ground, don't walk past it. Check the date. Look at the condition. Hold it up to the light. Because you never know when you might be holding the next incredible discovery in your hand. That 1981 penny in your pocket? It just might be your golden ticket. That if you enjoyed this story and want to learn more about valuable coins that could be hiding in plain sight, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell. We're just getting started in the world of hidden treasures, and who knows, your next great find might be closer than you think. Top 7. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, just 1 cent, could be worth more than a luxury car, more than your dream vacation, or even more than what some people earn in an entire year? Sounds unbelievable, right? But today, we're going to take a deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1982 United States Lincoln 1-cent penny. This is a coin most people overlook every day, but by the time this video is over, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. The Lincoln cent is a cornerstone of American currency. Since its debut in 1909, it's been through multiple design changes, composition updates, and minting experiments. But the year 1982? That year is a milestone. It marks one of the most significant transitions in U.S. coin history, because 1982 was the year the penny changed forever. Until 1982, the penny had been made primarily from copper. But as copper prices rose, it became more expensive to produce the coin than the coin was actually worth. So, the U.S. Mint made a bold move. Midway through 1982, they changed the penny's composition from 95% copper to a cheaper alternative, copper-plated zinc. From that point on, the penny would have a zinc core with just a thin copper coating. This major shift created one of the most unusual and complex years for Lincoln cent collectors. What makes 1982 truly special is that it produced 7 different varieties of the penny, yes, 7. That includes coins made with both copper and zinc, coins with large dates, coins with small dates, and combinations of each, all minted across multiple facilities. In total, there are 4 zinc varieties and 3 copper varieties, each with slight but important visual differences. To the untrained eye, they might look the same. But to a collector, these small variations are a treasure map. Now here's where things start to get really exciting. Because of the experimental nature of the 1982 minting process, a few coins slipped through the cracks, coins that weren't supposed to exist. One such coin is the legendary 1982 D small date penny made from copper. According to official records, all small date coins minted in Denver should have been made from zinc. But somehow, a few copper versions were struck. These rare errors have become holy grails for collectors, but rarity isn't the only thing that drives value. Condition is just as important. A 1982 penny that has been circulated, worn, scratched, or discolored isn't likely to bring in much money. But a coin that was preserved in pristine condition, never touched by human hands, stored away from light and air, and still shining like it was minted yesterday, is a completely different story. Professional grading agencies like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins based on their state of preservation. The top of the scale, mint state 67 or higher, represents coins that are almost flawless. These ultra-rare high-grade examples are the ones that go to auction houses, stir up bidding wars, and make headlines, but that's not all. Some 1982 pennies also display double die errors, where parts of the design appear doubled due to a minting issue. These errors are extremely collectible and can multiply the value of the coin many times over. Combined with the unique varieties and the copper versus zinc mystery, the 1982 penny has become one of the most actively searched coins among modern collectors. So, you might be wondering, how do you tell the difference between a copper and zinc penny from 1982? Here's a quick tip: a copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams, while a zinc penny weighs only 2.5 grams. A small digital scale can help you uncover whether you've got a common coin, or a rare, high-value collectible. Now picture this, you're sorting through an old jar of change. You find a 1982 penny. You check the weight, it's copper. Then you look closer, it's a small date. And then, you see the D mint mark. You do a little research and realize what you might be holding isn't just a coin, it's a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, because yes, believe it or not, one of these rare 1982 Lincoln 1-cent pennies, perfectly preserved, authenticated, and carrying the right mix of error, variety, and historical rarity, was sold for a staggering $74,000. That's right. A penny that most people wouldn't bend down to pick up off the sidewalk turned out to be worth more than many brand new SUVs, luxury watches, or even a down payment on a house. This is why collectors, hobbyists, and treasure hunters all across the country are obsessed with the 1982 penny. So the next time you're about to ignore a penny, stop. Look at the date. Examine the design. And if you find a 1982 penny, give it the attention it deserves. Because you might be holding a piece of American coin history. You might be holding a hidden fortune that if you enjoyed this video and want more incredible stories about rare and valuable coins, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out. There's a world of treasures hiding in plain sight, and your next great find could be just one coin away.